Your brain can't do that much. The reality is that once you start connecting these things, by the way, every single one of these connections is a hidden opportunity in what we're already currently doing anyway, but it's so overwhelming, as you can see as this picture starts to build. That's how many opportunities there are. It's an 8 with 47 zeros after it. If you looked at your existing marketing through the new tool that I'm giving you called Fusion, you have 8 with 47 zeros after it, new opportunities to allow one of your marketing tools to leverage the other. Is that insane or what? Okay, so we got to do something about that. We can't do this. We're already overwhelmed. Geez, if I give you this, you're just going to go in a corner, go into the fetal position and cry. So we got to fix this. So what I realized is that if I wanted to write a book or tell people about Fusion, this was a bad hurdle. This is something I got to get over because it's overwhelming. So one of the things that I realized working with companies, the first thing I do is I talk about cost of customer acquisition. And what that does generally is embarrasses the hell out of everybody in the company because nobody knows what their cost of customer acquisition is. Well, in the year 2000 so far, exactly how much did you spend on newspaper advertising and exactly how many new customers did that newspaper advertising generate and what was the revenue generated as a result? If there's anybody in this room that can give me those numbers, I'll give you a free book. Yeah, I don't see any hands. You know what? I don't know why we don't look at those numbers. They're the most important thing. Your advertising budget, you're spending more on advertising and marketing than anything else that you're currently doing, maybe second only to payroll, and maybe not. And if you don't know how that money is being spent, and if you don't know the effectiveness of how you're spending your money, why do you continue to throw so much money at it without measuring it? Today, with computers and the internet, you can measure everything. For example, I just did a direct mail piece for one of my companies, and it went out to 10,000 people, extremely high quality mail list, opted in for my company, so it wasn't a bought list, never do that. And what I did is I simply created a new URL, a landing page, a web page, that only showed up in this flyer that I sent out. It cost me $15,000 because each piece cost about $1.50 with the envelope and the postage. So let's do the math again. 10,000 people, $15,000. And within the first week, I had 4 people come to that website spending a total of $40. Can you make that up in volume? Not so much. But you know what it taught me is that I was an idiot and I should have been removed as CEO for my own company because I had just for the previous 3 years done a direct mail piece and more than likely had the same results, but I never took the time to measure it. Shame on me, especially being an expert in marketing. So what I'm saying is that every single dime you spend, you should account for. There's very, very simple ways of measuring every single thing that you do. All your marketing efforts, whether it's digital or traditional. There's ways. Okay. This is the only part of this whole process that requires any effort. But if you have a dealership, you have an accounting department, make them do all the work and generate the reports for you. What I want you to do is I want you on a whiteboard, on an Excel, a spreadsheet, or through reports through accounting. All I want you to do is identify all of the marketing campaigns that you did last year. If you had free hot dogs for the kids, if you had giveaways, whatever it was. And I want you to write those as headings, and I want you to write down all of the costs that were involved. Hard costs, soft costs, overhead costs. I mean, you know what? Put a little bit IT, telephone, electric, and lease space in those because you didn't do it from a park bench. So you still had overhead. What about your time, your staff's time? Add that to the hard costs. And then all I want you to do is how many new customers did your dealer create last year, your dealership? How many new customers? And then prorate the number of customers based on gut instinct, because I know you're not measuring it anyway. And what you're going to find is 2 numbers. One number is going to say, both numbers, by the way, are going to be OMGs. You familiar with that accounting term? Oh my God. What am I doing spending this amount of money to get this few customers? Or OMG, wow, I only spent this, but I got this. That right there is going to have a tremendous amount of value. But I want you to do that not only so that you can learn what's effective and what's not, and learn from now on that everything that you do should have a measuring technique built into it. But what I want you then to do is identify what's not working and stop it. take those human and financial resources and move them over to something that can be more effective. If I would have taken that $10,000 that I spent on that one direct mail piece and I hired a person just to do social media, could you imagine what I can do with no cost, no hard cost at all, no cost of goods for social media with a $10,000 budget? I rest my case. But I didn't know that until I actually started to measure. So your cost of customer acquisition is extremely critical, and so few people, so few dealers, so few management actually knows what those numbers are. Please do me a favor and just do that. And it's going to take a little bit of effort, and I know that coming back from a conference like this, you have lots of things that you want to implement, and you don't want anything that requires work. But I think the ROI on this exercise is going to pay off. So what's going to happen is, as it happened with me, I was able to identify what worked and what didn't, and I eliminated what type of marketing was simply ineffective. I'll go back and revisit it, but for right now, I'm trying to mainstream. Okay.